everyone, and welcome to Mindshift, a PLCS Empowerment Collective podcast. I am one of your hosts, Christopher Villarreal, and I've got my fabulous co-host with me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Deb Anderson. We're so glad you're with us today.
So excited to talk about today's topic and to kind of shift the way we think about it. We're talking about the digital world, which sounds so big, broad, all-encompassing. But one of the things that I have noticed in my own parenting and in my own experience as a teacher is that usually when we talk about technology, we focus on here's what you shouldn't do, here's how you should limit screen time, here's how you should take all these things away from our students, our kids. And I would love for us to talk a little bit today about how we might be able to shift that perspective to be more around helping our kids and our students navigate that digital world.
I love that you have this perspective because I think that we've had people talk to us before from a more legalistic perspective, like here's how you can get in trouble. And I know sometimes I think of this as almost like an addiction, similar to alcohol or other substances, but I think of it more like food. Because you can't just stop eating, right? I mean, with alcohol, you can just stop using alcohol and then it's out of your life. But with food, you can't just stop. And the same thing is true of technology, right?
I'm excited today because we have two of our very own content experts here with us today to share about how we can help students and kids navigate that digital world.
My name is Emily Boiseret, and I'm a school counselor at Liberty Middle.
Hello, I'm Chris Bolby, and I'm a school counselor at Parkview Heights Elementary.
All right, jumping right into it, talking about kids and technology. And, I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, we are constantly talking about ways to kind of restrict or making technology out to be almost bad, right? When in reality, technology is not good or bad. It's just something that's part of our day-to-day lives. So what strategies do you guys know about that can help kids or students develop healthy relationships with technology?
I think one of the biggest things is to know that technology should enhance your life and not distract from it. So if you can keep that at the forefront, that would probably be helpful. And then to set clear boundaries, like limits on where you keep the phone. That would be a healthy boundary. Parents can designate tech-free zones where no devices are allowed, like the bedrooms, the dining room table, and then just help reduce screen time. And this will help with sleep quality and encourage families to interact.
Actually, research shows that sometimes too little time on screens is just as impactful for kids as too much time. So I think it's important for parents to know that kids do need to be connected, and this is how they get connected these days. And so it's easy for us to say, nope, they don't need that device, I'm taking it away, or they're never going to get a phone until they're 16. That's not reality. So just being educated on what is out there, what's appropriate.
What I'm wondering about a little bit is something that it feels complicated, I guess. If I were a parent, I would think, well, how do I know if this device is enhancing my student's life, my child's life, or are they using it for all their relationships? Is that good or bad? And if I'm making a decision about how much time they should be on, or even if they should have a device, I guess I'm looking for some guardrails for me as a parent. What are there guardrails I could look for?
I think one of the things to do is the content of the screen time is just as important as the amount of the screen time. So children's screen time should be filled with educational content, age appropriate, that, can promote creativity and learning.
So, kind of what you were saying there, this goes in line with that. I have a 4-year-old and that's my only child. And well, one of the things that he thinks devices are for is to watch he goes to YouTube Kids and watches the mouse obstacle course videos. I don't know, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
They're just these ridiculous videos of mice going through these silly obstacle courses that people put together for them. Anyway, it is not that quality content that I think you're talking about, Chris. So one of the things that I know that has been a struggle thinking about those guardrails is, what questions can I ask myself about whether or not it is a good time for my student, my child, to have that device? Because I will say as parents, we've probably been a little bit extreme on the limiting side, on that restrictive side that I've been talking about. And so I'm trying to shift my own personal perspective on looking more at that quality engagement side. But I get so nervous about it. So are there questions that I can ask myself? And Emily, you kind of teased this a little bit when you talked about purpose, but just questions I can ask myself as a parent that might help me to not feel so bad about allowing my kid to have screen time.
One thing that I ask my kids, I have a 12 and a 14-year-old, is like, how do you feel after you use that app? Does it make you feel better to play video games and connect with your friends? Or do you get mad and grumpy and throw the controller, right? Or Snapchat is one that I'm fighting my 14-year-old on right now, because I don't really see the intent of it other than to connect with friends and not have a way to monitor that. So, and that's just something in our household that we work on, that like you are able to connect with your friends and you don't need that app where adults aren't able to monitor it. One thing to keep in mind for parents is, it's good to set limits. But that's not everything. Like having a conversation about what apps they're on, how it makes them feel. I think that's missing from a lot of parent-child tech pieces. They're not really asking them about their devices and the apps that they're using and how they feel.
And so, Chris, I'm wondering about when those conversations would start between a parent and a child about using a device and what's appropriate. I know you're in an elementary school, so can they start as young as kindergarten?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're actually literally, there's a site called Safer Social Media and Messaging Apps for Kids that literally rate what apps are good for kids. And it goes from ages 3 and up, depending on what you're looking for. So it just depends on the family.
Something that stood out to me, Emily, that you were talking about is with your own children. It sounds like you work to make technology decisions more collectively as a family instead of where I am right now, where I'm just saying, this is what your technology use is going to look like. And I think it's very easy as a parent to do that, right? To say, this is what your technology use is going to look like. It's harder to engage in that conversation. So from either of you, do you have any tips for parents to better engage in that conversation? I loved the how does it make you feel question. Any other tips like that to help parents engage in that conversation with their kids?
I would ask them, like, what are you looking for? What is it that you really want to do? Is it games you want to play? What kind of games? And then I would go on and play them with them, like, especially in the beginning, to start finding out, oh, this is what they're seeing. This is what they're hearing. I think that's a good place to start.
Or, like, send me that TikTok if you were laughing about, like, I want to watch that too, because I like funny videos. And so there doesn't have to be the divide. And if they think that you have a negative outlook on technology, they won't share anything with you. They'll close up. But really, if we're all in it, especially as a family unit, you have to be able to kind of take away, I don't know if it's awkwardness or what it is, but like you just have to be open about what you're seeing on your screens and being comfortable talking about it.
And I'm going to throw somebody under the bus right now. And I don't know if he'll end up listening to this or not, but an account that my husband follows on social media is a guy that just goes around and releases very loud, excessive gas in public places. And he thinks it is hilarious. And yes, I have a 4-year-old who also thinks that it is hilarious. And you talk about sharing some of that hilarious content. We were over at his uncle's house And Leo, my son, was like, Uncle Jeff, you have to watch this. Daddy, give me your phone. To show him these reels of a man, yes, just going into public places and farting.
Do you know what I'm thinking about as I'm listening to this, Christopher? I love that because I have been, as I listen to Emily and Chris, I hear you saying so much about being together and having conversations and be understanding and not judgmental. And I know you didn't say those words, but I'm hearing that. And I'm thinking, similar to you, Christopher, you feel a little judgmental about what your husband's doing. I feel judgmental when I see my 9-year-old grandson and my 14-year-old grandson watch YouTube videos of gamers playing games. I mean, they're not even playing the game. They're just watching somebody else play Minecraft for hours. And I think, I don't get it. And so I can be judgmental about that.
Well, and I think really what it comes down to is if your kid enjoys it, figure out why they enjoy it. Why do you like that? What does it do for you, right? That kind of goes back to the same question. Is there a purpose behind it? Is it to entertain you or what is it? And if it is, sometimes we have to check ourselves because to me, I'm like, I do not understand why you were watching that person play Fortnite when you could just go in the basement and play it yourself, but they like it. And so, yeah, what is it doing for them?
Yeah, I keep coming back to that question that you said at the beginning of just, how do you feel? How does it make you feel after you engage in that way? And, the story that I told, I hate potty humor, which is really hard when you're a parent of a toddler. And I have to really check my judgment there because I just hate it. I even hate saying the words. But how does it make him feel? He felt connected to his dad and his uncle. He was laughing. So he was happy and in a positive moment. And I just, when even just for me framing it for myself that way, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad. So I love some of those prompts that you guys have given us about purpose and about feeling that help reframe how we think about the digital world a little bit. And we're coming close to the end of our time together, but we've spent a lot of time talking about kids and students themselves and how they're engaging in technology. Fact of the matter is they're learning it from us, right? So any kind of parting words, last advice for parents that might be listening on how they can better model positive uses of technology?
You are their biggest role model. So limit your time. Be careful what you say on there. The other thing I would say is that you just have to monitor it. So if they're going to bed and they have whatever device they have in their bedroom, expect that they're young and they don't have the discipline, just like adults, to be able not to go on that device.
Chris, you gave us some good tips. Emily, what do you have for us?
I mean, think about sitting in a meeting and if your phone buzzes, you have to have extreme self-control to not check your phone. Well, a child with a developing brain is not going to be able to resist that, right? So like setting those examples. And I mean, we're all learning right along with them. Most of the kids have way more insight and knowledge on their devices than we do. And so I even think just asking your kid too, like what do you think the tech use should look like in the house? Right? What do you think is appropriate?
I think that's great advice you've both given us so many tips and my mind is running 100 miles an hour. I'm thinking of a million more things that we could talk about, but I know we need to wrap it up here.
We'll definitely link and list all of those resources. Again, you can find those at plcschools.org/mindshift. And I'm just going to put in a plug for the field that our guests work in today. If you have questions, you can also reach out to your school counselor. Your school counselors are there to help, and they have a lot of great strategies, as we learned from Chris and Emily today. So thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you next time.